Hello and welcome to the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. This is episode 49. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I've got a lot of things on my mind. There's a lot of news happening. Thanks for joining the show. I can't wait to talk about today's guest and our handicapping sequence. Please, of course, first thing, make sure you subscribe on the right side of the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are close. Last time I checked, 298 subscribers. I want to get to that 300. Actually, my goal is get to 1,000 subscribers. This podcast has only been on for about 3.5 months. Please subscribe if you've not done so already on the right side of the screen. And after you do that, hit the notification bell so you'll know when new content arrives on the show. Smash that like button there on the bottom of the screen also. And please make sure you comment down below the video player anything you hear about on the show, good or bad, things you like, things you dislike. How do you get in touch with me? A lot of you already know, but of course you can reach me on Twitter at HKravitz. The spelling is on the tag there on the left side of the screen. You can also email me, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Now, we've had a lot of interest in the Race Day blog, and I just want to be very clear for those of you that have not purchased the Race Day blog. Again, it's only $12.99 for the entire month. It's only about $3 a blog, comes mainly on weekends, gives you great information, specific ABC tickets, gives you some tips on how to bet the sequence that we have, also gives you additional races from early in the card, or other tracks throughout the country. I've had a lot of Pick 5 hits through ABC tickets on this blog. I do want to say, and all the information is there below, also in the description below the video player. Again, in the description below the video player is detailed information about the Race Day blog and Patreon. I just want to be clear so you don't think you are being misled. Patreon will automatically resubscribe you at the beginning of every month. So although it's only $12.99, I can totally understand. You might want to wait to the beginning of the month, like July 1st or July 2nd, if you have not signed up, and sign up then. Because if you sign up today or tomorrow, then in theory, you're only getting about half your information, because it's going to charge you $12.99 now, and then we'll recharge you $12.99 at the beginning of the month. That is something I have no control over, by the way, just to let you know. That is how Patreon works. But it's a great site. I don't use it because I'm trying to gain more money off of people. Not at all. It just helps me very much from an organizational standpoint. So again, you might want to wait to the beginning of July or the beginning of any month to sign up for that blog. But if you've already signed up, it will automatically sign you up again for the next month. So please support this channel. Also, a portion of the proceeds goes to the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, which supports horses after they retire and takes care of them. So I make a donation also for full transparency at the end of the month to TRF. So again, please make sure you sign up for the Race Day blog. I would greatly appreciate your support. Also, I write for In the Money Podcast, as you know, inthemoneypodcast.com. I cover Canterbury Park Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. They're actually racing right now, and I almost came on late because a horse I touted on the blog, you can look it up, the Last Martini, race 3 I had on top, just paid $11.60. There we go. So I'm 2 for 4, I think, today on my picks on the Race Day blog, and neither one of my horses that I predicted were favorites. Again, you can look up on the inthemoneypodcast.com. I correctly handicapped race 3 and 4. Anyway, please make sure you support In the Money Media, and you can see my writing for Canterbury Park on inthemoneypodcast.com. Now, before I bring in my guest, if you see on the scroll at the bottom, at the end of the scroll, the next live stream is going to be Monday. Why am I going Monday? Because next Wednesday, June 23rd, Canterbury Park, the track that I cover In the Money, has a huge day of racing. 6 stakes, over $600,000 in purses. Most of them are on turf. These are open company races. They call it the Northern Lights Turf Festival. And wait till you hear some of the connections that are going to Canterbury Park next Wednesday. Florent Giroux is riding there. Ricardo Santana is riding there. Michael Maker will be there as a trainer. Some of his horses. Brad Cox, Michael Stidham. There are some serious connections going to Canterbury Park next Wednesday night. And so to cover that, next Monday night, it's a can't miss. Again, this Monday or next Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, I will have Jeff Madej, the media relations director at Canterbury Park. He's also an excellent handicapper. We will be chopping up the Wednesday night card next week at Canterbury Park. They also have a $300 live money contest Wednesday night. Anyway, there's a lot going on at Canterbury Park. It's their biggest day of racing. It's next Wednesday night, so I'm going to have a live stream this Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Please join me at that time. So let me talk a little bit, a few quick topics before I bring in my guest. First of all, there's some big news today out of Chicago. As most of you know, I'm from the Chicago area. And if you didn't know already, Arlington Park is owned by Churchill Downs Incorporated. They're looking to sell the property, which is unfortunate. But the big news that just happened today is the Chicago Bears of the NFL, who right now play at Soldier Field in downtown Chicago, have put in a bid to buy the Arlington Park property. There are approximately 10 bids that Churchill Downs Incorporated is going to look at. And one of them, it was just reported today officially, is from the Chicago Bears. Now, why do I mention this? I'm sure a lot of you are not fans of the Chicago Bears. You might not even be football fans. That's fine. But it's worth mentioning because you have to assume the Chicago Bears are putting in a very good offer, and that might entice Churchill Downs Incorporated to sell to the Bears, which would mean, in theory, there would be no more horse racing at Arlington. I've made it very clear I want horse racing in Arlington very much. I hope there's going to be horse racing there. But if someone said, Howard, there's going to be no horse racing there for sure, I personally would love the Chicago Bears to be there. But anyway, that is some breaking news that happened today. We'll see how that develops. Also, I hope you watched my Monday live stream. I had a gentleman whose name is Davey Lane, who, if you've not seen the show, he's a very good handicapper in the UK. He gave out one of the best picks I've seen probably ever. He touted as his long shot, only right here on the HHH Racing Podcast, in race 4 on Monday at Royal Ascot, a horse named Rayshun. You can look it up if you're not familiar with this story. He was the 6 horse. Folks, he went off at 54-1. That's right, 54-1. My guest handicapper touted that horse, and guess what? He won. My only regret is that I only had 7 to win in place, and I usually do like 15 or 20 or maybe a little more depending on how I feel about the horse. I wish I put a lot more on this horse, but anyway, he paid $110 to win. Congrats to Davey Lane, handicapper right here on my show on Monday night. If you've not seen the Royal Ascot preview show from Monday night, check it out because he had a few winners. I also touted Lupe Fernandez in the first race, who went off at 23-1 and finished a very good second. So I had the exacta and some place money. So I had a very good day along with him and Rayshun on Monday. But Davey Lane, if you hear this or if you know Davey Lane, congrats to him. I try to bring on the best guests I can on this show. We've got a great guest tonight. No pressure with our guest tonight, but the previous guest picked a 54-1 shot. So we'll see how our tonight's guest does on the show. I know he's going to do great. And again, so Canterbury next week. We had Royal Ascot going on this week. So what's happening tonight? Fantastic pick 5. It is closing weekend at Santa Anita. Closing weekend at Santa Anita. And the late pick 5 on Saturday is fantastic. They have 3 stake races, 2 are Calabreds. They have some big fields in this pick 5. I haven't covered Santa Anita since Michelle Yu was on the show. And to help us with the pick 5 is a viewer of the show. He's a fan of my show. He's been on the Matt Bernier show on the In the Money Media podcast. He is an excellent young handicapper, loves horse racing from a place that you wouldn't really think horse racing might be known or popular, from North Dakota. I'd like to bring in the one and only CJ Andrews. CJ,
Hey,
how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tell everyone a little bit what you do up there in North Dakota and how you got involved in horse racing.
So I'm a personal trainer here at Verge Fitness in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I got involved by horse racing with this wonderful pandemic that we are involved in right now, or hopefully on the ends of. It shut our gym down for 7 weeks, so that moved my work day to about an hour or 2 hours, and so I had nothing else to do. You can only watch so much Netflix in a day, and you can only, it's unfortunately when things kind of went downhill, we still had snow on the ground here, so it's not like you could really go out and do much. So I took to horse racing, and I've been a huge fan ever since.
Terrific. Just a few quick comments. Again, on the bottom of the screen, you're going to see chats. Trish Smith is already on. If you are on, please make sure. I'm sure there has to be hundreds of thousands of people on to watch CJ tonight. I know he's got his huge fan club here watching tonight. So please make sure on the right side of the screen, ladies and gentlemen, you type in chats, comments about the picks that we have or anything about horse racing in general. If you happen to be watching the Chicago area and you want to talk about whether the Chicago Bears of the NFL, if you'd like to see them move to Arlington Heights, where Arlington Park is, feel free to comment on that or anything going on in the horse racing world. Trish, I also had Last Martini. Let's get that pick 5 home at Canterbury Park also. And David Piscopo, big fan of the show. I think David, I believe, had somewhere a $1,500 win because of Ray Schoon, or I know he had a big win because of Ray Schoon. So you're welcome, awesome. David. Awesome. I'm glad you were able to catch there. But let's get back to CJ. CJ, we have a very famous segment on our show, as you know, and it is called 10 Minutes to Post. 10 Minutes to Post, ladies and gentlemen. These are going to be 10 rapid-fire questions. You'll see them on the bottom of the screen for CJ. And so we get to learn a little more about CJ, and then we will handicap the late pick 5 at Santa Anita that is occurring on Saturday. Here we go. Question number 1. I think I'm going to know the answer to this because I think you have a small selection. But CJ, the favorite track that you've actually attended?
We've only been to one, Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and it was awesome. It was pretty awesome.
I'd love to go there. By the way, I don't know if you heard. I'm assuming you did, but they have changed their racing dates next year. They're actually starting in, I think, early December. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they're starting early December, and so they're extending their meet, which is going to be interesting, CJ, because I'd like to see how many of these horses go to the fairgrounds or go to Oaklawn. A lot of horses that race at Oaklawn usually come in from the fairgrounds. Now they're going to be competing with the fairgrounds and Gulfstream, so it's going to be very interesting to see, of course, what happens early in the meet at Oaklawn Park. CJ, your favorite track where you like to place your bets?
Man, I really like Keeneland. I don't know. There's some tracks that you can't win at. I cannot win at Churchill. So if anybody can win at Churchill, I will take any advice possible. I cannot win anything at Churchill. And to be quite frank, I'm pretty terrible at Oaklawn too, but I did pretty well. I did pretty well at Keeneland. So Keeneland's probably my favorite one.
That begs the question, how are you at Santa Anita? Because you're helping us with the pick 5 tonight.
So I've only bet Santa Anita once. It was the day that Fair Maiden hit at like 22-1. I'd her to win, and then Nasty like 2 races later, and I had him to win.
Beautiful.
So I'm pretty good.
Don't leave the live stream, folks, because listen, I think it's really important. I just want everyone to know out there. I have great guest handicappers on this show. I've had famous people on this show. We're going to continue to have that. But I think it's important to have viewers on the show, especially ones like CJ who are not as experienced but still have good opinions. And this live stream and podcast is not only about getting great opinions, about learning the game and spreading the word out there, especially with younger fans like CJ. CJ, I don't know if you saw the show Monday, but I had a young guest handicapper who is still in college right now. So I think
Yeah.
it's really important to bring on that 20s and 30s
Yep.
group because dinosaurs like me are going to be around forever, and so I think it's really important to spread the word amongst the the Gen Zs and the millennials, etc. So that's one of the reasons that I enjoy having people like CJ on the show. Next question, CJ. Do you have a favorite type of bet? Do you like vertical, like perfectas, exactas, or do you like pick fours, pick fives, the horizontal bets?
I mostly play with a good friend of mine, Tucker Hammer. I know he's watching tonight. I told him I was on.
Tucker, shout out to Tucker.
Yeah. So we play exactas, win bets, and doubles, and that's about all we play. That's where I found my niche. I pick fives. They're too frustrating for me. I don't pick a ton of winners, and so there's nothing more frustrating than like going 3 for 5 on a day and having 10 to 1 shot and then just missing out on 2 favorites or.
I have a friend about 20 years ago who used to give me a hard time and called me Mr. 4 out of 5 because I'd play pick fives and actually it's more like 10 years ago because the pick five wasn't around that long. But it is frustrating to have great opinions and lose one leg. But that's the nature of the game.
And that's just it. And that's I've kind of started to take up the position on handicapping where like if my opinion comes in, I want to get paid for it. And what I mean by that is like if I like a 10 to 1 shot in one leg, I'm gonna go for the win bet, hit the exact, hit the double, and I'd rather play it that way and just get paid on one opinion than try and hit 5. That's just my personal take on it.
I totally agree with you. For people that are less experienced, they want to see the proverbial ball go through the hoop or maybe don't have the biggest bankroll. I think win bets. I think doubles are great. It's the simplest horizontal bet. You just have to be right, 2 races in a row. It can still pay above the parlay. So I think that's an excellent bet for especially beginner players or people who maybe have a little bit of a lesser bankroll. By the way, that was Monty Lopez. Monty, thanks for joining the show. Listen, our loyal viewers are out tonight, CJ. Ready to hear your opinions.
Did you spread the word that I was coming on or what?
Absolutely. Of course. No, I did. Take a look at the description on the video player. I mentioned your name on there. You'll see. Listen, I was happy to have you on. All right, next question. Do you have a most memorable or best horse racing event? I know you've only been to Oaklawn once. So was there a stake race that day or was it just a regular day?
It was the fantasy. Lady Apple won the fantasy.
There you go. That was Steve Asmussen, I believe, trained Lady Apple.
And at that point, I didn't know anything about horse racing. So my wife is upstairs and she said, I want Lady Apple in must have been the 8th or something. I don't know. So anyways, we had done okay that day or something like that. I didn't know a maiden from a stake horse, and my wife wanted Lady Apple, and
there you go.
I think she was like 8 or 9 to 1. So.
Yeah, she was not the favorite. I remember she was a lower number horse. I don't know why I remember that, like 1, 2, or 3. I can't remember.
She was the 8. I remember cheering for her. We were the only ones in the stands cheering for the 8.
There you go. What do I know? I don't know. I've probably handicapped 50,000 races since then. All right, well, that must have been felt wonderful. Do you have a best or most memorable non-horse racing sports event that you've ever attended?
Well, I went to school at the University of North Dakota, and like I don't know how many years ago now they were the Sioux, and watching a college Sioux hockey game is pretty legit. I unfortunately caught the back end of it. So my first year there, they didn't have a name, but of course everybody still chanted Sioux. And when you get the student section rocking with, and they're playing Denver or Colorado College or those games are fun.
They are a perennial college hockey power. If you're not familiar with North Dakota, North Dakota State, correct? You said?
No, North Dakota State is football. University of North Dakota is hockey.
I apologize. Okay.
No, that's all right.
There's, if whether you're in the Midwest or East Coast or West Coast, there's some very good athletic programs sort of up in your area, North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota. They might be like on the smaller level.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent that comes out of those smaller schools. Yeah. And I'm sure, listen, absolutely no disrespect to anyone who lives up there, but there aren't as many options to do culturally and whatnot. So people really get into their local sports. And so I'm sure that was really special to be at. Do you have a bucket list track or specific race day event that you'd
Yeah,
like
I
to
think
attend, either
if
in
I
the
could go to,
States or overseas?
I would do the Breeders' Cup for sure. I don't really care where it is. That would be my number one. Would be the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, Breeders' Cup would be amazing.
Yeah,
Do you have a favorite horse of all time?
it'd probably have to be Lady Apple. I haven't been in the game long enough to really fall in love with
Sure.
anybody.
Yeah, it's probably not a fair question to ask you, but I'll just throw it out there. I think the more you play this game, you're going to have a lot more favorite
Yeah,
horses of all time.
absolutely.
Not that there's anything wrong with Lady Apple, but I think you'll gain appreciation for some more famous
Yeah.
horses as they.
Can I say one thing quick, Howard?
Of course.
Okay, so I want to give this pick out because this horse will come in and he'll either hit the bottom of a try or he's going to win a big race, and it's going to be
Wow.
in a turf sprint. It's going to be Gray's Creek. If you watch him in the Jaipur, he was never going to win that race, but he was going to run up for third or fourth, and he was going to run a big race at 57-1 that day, and he will run a big race at a big number. So watch for
Wow.
that horse next time.
Okay, CJ, Gray's Creek, everyone. You just touted him. We'll have to look out for. I'm aware of that horse. It's be interesting to see where he goes next.
In a
Obviously,
turf
you'll want
sprint. I hope he doesn't drop to like a listed stake or something where he's going to be 3-1. I hope they keep him in a grade one because, quite frankly, like I don't know if he's ever going to win one, but like the bottom of an exacta or trifecta, he's
Okay.
going to be a big number.
All right, we'll look out for that horse. Do you have a favorite jockey?
Oh man, I like different jockeys in different specific positions. I don't know if I have like a favorite. I guess I can say that every time I don't bet Irad Ortiz, he beats me, and every time I do bet Irad Ortiz,
There you go.
it's on
He
a
came
9
back, by the way, today in New York after his injury, which was fantastic. He did.
Good.
He hasn't raced in 2 weeks. I thought you were going to say Ricardo Santana. I'm assuming he rode Lady Apple for Asmussen. I would assume.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at it, but
Yeah. He had motion in the race too, so I don't know who Santana would
okay.
have been.
Well, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Maybe someone at home can look up Lady Apple winning the fantasy. Probably what year was that? Do you know?
To 2019, because I
All
think.
right. If someone at home can look that up, who rode Lady Apple when she won the fantasy? If someone can look that up at home, that'd be fantastic. I have two more questions for CJ, and then we're going to get into our handicapping. Do you have a favorite race that you like to watch or bet in the United States? A particular race you really enjoy watching or betting?
Like style of race or like.
No, actual specific race, just one of the big Triple Crown races. Or...
I actually really like the Old Forester or the Manhattan, one of those longer turf races.
Yep.
Those ones would probably be my favorite.
Okay. There's a big one coming up in Chicago. It used to be called the Arlington Million. They've changed the name to the Mr. D Stakes in honor of Richard Duchossois, who owns or used to own a large portion of Arlington Park. It's now only $600,000. But by the way, for those of you in the Midwest, domestic spending, the monster for Chad Brown, who won the Manhattan, a horse that you mentioned, or a race that you mentioned, is coming to Chicago apparently in August for the Mr. D Stakes, formerly the Arlington Million. Last question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Last question for CJ. I don't know how much TV horse racing you watch on TV, whether it be TVG or Fox or whatever, but do you have a favorite personality that you enjoy listening to on TV for horse racing?
Oh yeah, Jonathan Kinchin, no brainer. That dude's amazing. If you don't watch Jonathan Kinchin, man, you should if you're playing just like win bets, just double check to see what he's got. Okay, because if you line up with Jonathan Kinchin, you got a good shot at winning.
There you go. Shout out to Jonathan. I know Jonathan watches the show once in a while because he is a colleague of mine now on the In the Money media team. So shout out. By the way, you're excited to hear this, CJ. No promises, but I've gotten to know JK just a little bit because I met him personally at Keeneland. I work with the same network now with In the Money. I have his contact info. I'm going to try very hard. He's a hard man. He's big time now. We're going to try very hard to get him on the show either before or during the Saratoga meet. So you look out for that for Jonathan Kinchin on the HHH Racing podcast. And also, that reminds me, everyone, this is absolutely going to happen. Eddie Olczyk from NBC Sports will be on the HHH Racing podcast here with me live in the next few weeks. And also, Andy Serling will be on here live also in the next few weeks. We've lined up some serious guests on this show, so I hope you're going to be joining me. All right, CJ, let's get on to the late pick five. That's what a lot of people are here to listen about. So the late pick five at Santa Anita on Saturday starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is closing weekend at Santa Anita. And just to also let everyone know that because it's closing weekend, if the pick six is not hit, the rainbow pick six, if it's not hit before Sunday, they have a mandatory 20-cent pick six payout on Sunday. We're not going to be covering that here because the past performances just came out a few hours ago. But Santa Anita has been very good to me and the show. I gave out a mandatory 20-cent pick six payout on this show in February that paid $2,000. I loved Idol, a horse I touted about 5-1, I believe, in the big cap earlier in the meet. So Santa Anita has been very good to me. Michelle Yu, who's married to Ryan Hansen, who is a trainer at Santa Anita, who, by the way, I don't know if you saw, but Ryan Hansen, CJ, has a horse in race 8 that we're going to be handicapping. And I have a little inside info on one of the horses we're going to handicap in race 8 because the trainer's wife is Michelle Yu, who was on the show. And I got in contact, by the way, with Michelle Yu about this horse. So, folks, I've got inside intel on one of the horses, CJ, we're going to be talking about, not in this race, but it's in race 8. So let's first talk about race 7. Before we do that, Gemini, thank you very much for joining the show. You got a fan, Gemini. There you go. Gemini's a fan. I know you had an excellent time and you were great entertainment on the Mapper Near show. And Deb Andrews, thank you, Deb.
Mom.
We got our female listeners. Deb and Trish representing our female listeners. Listen, please, let's get some more female listeners and interest on the show. I love when the girls come on and talk horse racing. It's fantastic. The more, the merrier. Deb, thank you very much for joining the show tonight. So we're going to get right into the pick 5. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be putting the picks on the bottom of the screen. Now, CJ does not know what my picks are for each race at all. So he's either going to feel good or bad, or we're going to be both correct or both incorrect. Who knows what's going to happen? But you're going to see our picks at the bottom of the screen. And you'll see, of course, the PPs also. The first race is race 7. Sorry, 1 second. Race 7, it's a 1-mile turf. It's allowance event, optional claiming 40 N1X. The turf rails are going to be down for all these turf races. CJ, I'm going to have you go first. Before you do that, let me go ahead and put our picks on the screen. So you see H, of course, is Howard, and of course, CJ is right there. We are both have the 11 on top in this race. CJ, I'll have you go first and talk about your selection, sir.
You know, I like this horse a lot. So I'm going to say this, and I'm actually glad that we started off on this, because I'm actually going to eat my own words here in about 20 minutes at the end of this thing. I'm a sucker for lone speed on the turf. Now, I don't know if he's going to be lone speed, but I'm not really worried if he's not in first, because he showed 2 races back that he can sit off. But you're getting a horse that has 2 wins in a row. Since switching to the Glatt barn, he seems to be a different horse. He seems to be a horse on the improve. I think he's got some of the best speed numbers in the field. He's really proficient at the distance. He's got a ton of things that are working for this horse.
And you've got you have the 6 in second. The 6 would be Secret Club, ridden by Jessica Pfeiffer, who is having an outstanding meet. I believe she's 5th or 6th. I've now looked at the standings the last week or so, but she is an excellent apprentice jockey. You've got her in second. Why don't you talk a little about Secret Club?
So this race is actually going to be super, super important for this previous race that this horse is in is going to be super important for this whole sequence, because if the horses that come out of here run, then you're going to get some prices. And if they don't run, then oh well, and I will miss out on this one. But anyways, this horse actually closed up really well in the last race that it ran in. The horse is ahead of it From what I gather, the pace really didn't fall apart very much, and they actually ran sub 12 coming home in this horse's last race, and this horse was still making up ground. It did get a very good trip, but I do like the race that this horse is coming out of. Let's see if I have any other notes.
So I don't know if you want to really quick here. I'm assuming you're familiar with some of these.
Yep.
The DRF, if you've not there, on the right side of the screen is the final. That's going to be the final eighth, final
there
1/8
you
of
go.
the mile. And as CJ alluded to, Secret Club came home in 11.49, which was the second fastest
Yep.
come home time in that race, next to a horse called Astronaut. Remember that
Yep.
name because Astronaut is also in this sequence on Saturday, correct?
Yep. In the last. Yep. In the last.
Okay, so
Yep.
you sort of like and if you want to look at the next race they're coming out of, actually none of these horses have run since that race, but that race was
Yep.
only 2 weeks ago, or about
Yep.
3 weeks ago. But that is a live race according to CJ. Anything else you'd like to mention before I talk about this race?
Those are really kind of the big ones. I see that you have the one. I thought this horse was pretty even with the one. But yeah, no, that's about it.
All right, so let's talk about, as you see my picks on the screen there, I also have the 11 on top, and I just want to echo everything that CJ said. There is some speed in this race, not a lot. I'm not a big fan of a horse coming from the 11 hole in a 1 mile turf event at Santa Anita. It's a relatively quick run of the first turn, but this horse absolutely has speed to get a good position, and I love the 1-2 starts back, CJ especially, because as you said, it was the first time really that Constitutional Affair actually sat off horses and went by, which I think is a very important angle. So I do like the 11. On Figs, he's definitely the best. If you're interested, folks, in my ABC opinions, that'll be on the Race Day blog. I don't like to confuse too many people or get into the weeds too much, but my ABC opinions will be shown for those of you that purchase the Race Day blog. I do want to mention a common race. Now, there are a lot of horses coming out of the same race here, and it's out of the May 9th race. And I want to show this race as a replay because my second choice, Adair, to me is very interesting. Now, this was only a 6.5 furlong race, but as you see there in bold, you have Adair, Southern Horse, and a horse that I think is interesting in this race, Uncle Adwama. So we're going to show the replay. Adair in this race is the 2, Uncle Aduma is the 3, and Southern Horse is the 6. So what I want you to do, folks, is watch the 2, 3, and 6 carefully here. And I'm just going to get it to mid-pack. I thought Adair, who's the 2, you see the 2 right there, and then you see the 3 and the 6 in back. I thought the 2 Adair was a little bit goofy in the stretch and has a chance to improve on the stretch out. This was Adair's first race on turf, and you see he's got a pretty big hold there. He's in between horses, and they're going slow. This is very slow. 24-1 for a 6.5 furlong sprint. This definitely favored horses that were up close. And you see the 3, Uncle Aduma, who I think is also interesting in this race, all the way in last. So I really want you to focus more on the 2 and the 3. There's really no sneaky trips here. But I like the fact that they made up a lot of ground in a race where, again, this is only 46-4, almost 47 to the half. And watch the close especially. You see the 2 is lugging in. You see the jock right here is not even asking. He finally takes the stick out and goes left hand here. And you see the horse wants to lug in. Once he's still lugging in, but once he straightens out, I thought he went clear. This horse here only lost, this is Adair, only lost about 2 lengths. And you see the 3 and the 6 there coming up from the back. But this race did not favor closers. And I thought Adair was ridden very strangely, couldn't straighten out. This is a big horse that I think wants distance. So I am very, very interested in Adair, the number 1 in this race. I have him second. I also want to mention Adair, look who's riding. Joe Bravo, who is riding at Del Mar this summer, has moved his tack to the West Coast. He's only riding here this weekend at Santa Anita just to gain some experience out in California and just to get to know some connections. And I listen, he's not here for the vacation, folks. He wants to win. There's nothing wrong with Victor Espinoza, but Joe Bravo is a very good turf jockey. And not only that, Adair ran a 96 and a 95 last year against good horses out east. I know that was on the dirt, but I think this horse is very interesting, along with Uncle Aduma at a big price, and I have Uncle Aduma in third. Last horse I want to mention, there's Southern Horse, who was the 6, and Southern Horse, by the way, gets Rispoli. So, CJ, there's a lot of interesting jockey changes going on in this race. I would not completely discount Southern Horse in this race. And I also think Ready Soul, the 9, who is a new horse in the barn of Phil D'Amato, ridden for Flavian Pratt. So, I know what you're thinking, everyone. Howard just gave out every horse. Not really. We both like the 11 the most. But I think 1, 3, 8, or 9, or especially 1, 3, 9, are not impossible. I would say it's a pretty wide open race. You could probably either single Constitutional Affair or go deeper in the first leg of the pick 5. Let's go to race 8. Let me take the picks down here and put up race 8. I see a few comments. Let's see what these comments are. Mike McGuire. Mike McGuire, I'm not too familiar with you coming on the show, but thank you very much, Mike, for joining our chat. We appreciate it. Deb, you wanted to know who is the jockey. Deb, if you can clarify your comments, I'm not sure.
Phil Howard, that's
Yep.
my mom. That's my
Oh.
mom. That's my mom. She will only bet Irad Ortiz. That's what she's getting at. She only bets Irad.
Hi, Mrs. Andrews. Thanks. Your son's doing a great job. Thanks for joining the show. Listen, Mrs. Andrews, if you got any dirt on CJ that's PG, please put it in the chat. I'll be happy to put it up. Now CJ's like, oh, mom, don't embarrass me. Deb, thanks for joining the show. Appreciate it. All right, let's get to the next race. I already switched the screen. Let's get our picks up here for. Sorry, your mom just threw me off. I'm scrambling here. Let's go to race 8. So here's our picks for race 8. CJ, did you read my mind, CJ? We both have the 7. Now we are a little bit different underneath. We both have the 7 on top, and the 7 is definitely going to be a topic of conversation. CJ, talk about your picks in the second leg of the pick 5, which is a sprint on dirt. It's 6.5 furlongs, another optional 40 N1X. CJ, go ahead.
Let me grab my notes here. I really, really, really like this horse a lot. So that horse was actually the horse that ran up next to Adair in the last race. So he was off a 1-year layoff in that last race.
Correct. He was in the Adair race. I should have mentioned that. Go ahead.
I mean, he was a little bit flat in there, but I mean, coming off of a year layoff, I mean, what do you expect? I like that he gets Mike Smith, who's already got a win on him, and his dirt numbers are massive. His dirt numbers are huge. And so I think you're getting a horse second off a layoff. I believe it's his second start at 5. And he came out of the race. Let me just double check. Yeah, he came out of that race he's coming into that race with he's coming in with a nice workout. So I like a lot about this horse. I really like Kana.
Yeah, it's Kana. So yeah. Before you talk about some other picks, here's my intel, everyone. And I did not have Michelle Yu on the show to get us inside information. I had her on the show because she's a great personality and knows her horse racing and does a fantastic job for Santa Anita simulcast. But as you see, the trainer is Ryan Hansen. Michelle Yu is married to Ryan Hansen. So listen, I have Michelle's contact info. I would not be doing my job, CJ, if I did not reach out to Michelle and see if she had a little intel for us. So I have a direct quote. I'm going to put up on the screen here in just a second. I emailed Michelle Yu, again, the wife of trainer Ryan Hansen, who runs Kana on Thursday. And you'll see on the bottom of the screen, everyone, this is the direct quote from Michelle Yu. Michelle said, quote, he, meaning the horse, is much better on dirt, but he needed to get a race into him before his year off was up because he's been off for a year, as CJ mentioned. So that's why they ran him in that spot. By the way, it's not on the bottom of the screen, but Mike Smith dropped the whip, by the way, CJ, mid stretch,
Mm-hmm.
which is
I
part of the
saw that.
reason. I don't know if you saw it on the replay, but
Yep.
Michelle said overall, we knew he would be better on dirt than grass. So this horse absolutely wants dirt, even though he's by Gio Ponte, which was a fantastic turf horse. But I just want to show, look at Gio Ponte has sired a horse called DeFrong, which some of you might know, who was trained by Bob Baffert, won 1.5 million on the dirt, and also Zanatti, a dirt horse who won over 400,000 on the dirt. So Gio Ponte, the sire of Kana, can absolutely produce dirt horses. And like you said, CJ, his maiden win last year was a 92 buyer. So this horse absolutely fits. You have got in second. Sorry, let me get those picks back up on screen. Why don't you talk about your other picks you have got? Sorry about that. You
Oh,
have the
sure.
4, who is a turn back in distance in
Yep.
second.
So I got Palace Coup in second. I got third off the layoff. He's third with the motto. He's keeping his jockey. I love him on the cutback. He seems to be training pretty well. His figures out of the last race are really, really nice. So if you watch the replay on this horse, speed and cutback is a really nice angle, but this horse absolutely battled until the end. I know it said he lost by 4 lengths, but he absolutely battled all the way until the end. And now he's getting a little bit less distance. I really, really like this horse. I don't know if he can come from off the pace. There's some other speedsters in here. But watching the other speeds in this race, the 5, that's who it is. The 5 he just folded up in his last race. So I think if him and Palace Coup hook up, he's going to bury that horse.
Yeah, so I remember the Palace Coup race because I bet the winner Contagion that day, and that was listen, it's hard to close going 2 turns on the dirt, especially a mild Santa Anita. You absolutely want to be up close, and CJ's exactly right. We're not going to watch that replay, but Palace Coup got into a pretty good pace duel and really hung around pretty well. The winner came from way back.
I think there was 3 across the track, and they went fast.
Absolutely, and the winner came from way back to win that race. Yep. So I am a sucker for turnbacks. I do like the 4. I have the 4 in third in this race. The 4 can absolutely win. CJ, it's going to be interesting. Do you think, how close to the pace do you think this 4 is going to be? You said he'd bury the 5. So I'm guessing you think this horse will be up close, even though they're sprinting.
Looking at his numbers, I don't really think he has any other option. I don't really know if he wants to come from off the pace. So I think if this horse is going to win, I think he's got to be on the front end or near the front end. Sure. I think he's got to be first or second. That's just my opinion on the horse. Like I said, I don't see this horse coming or sitting. I think he's going to have to get out ahead of that 5.
Well, when you look down the PPs, the 1 and 2 are more stalking types. The 3 is a closer. The 4 is probably the best speed to the inside. So I'm guessing, CJ, there's also a little speed from Ginobili, the 6, who I'm going to let you talk about because you have the horse in the 3rd. And Stay Happy might show some speed from the outside. But my guess, and this is totally a guess, CJ, is that Ricky Gonzalez on the 4 is going to let Whiskey My God just go, and he'll probably just try to get to the outside and sit off him. Is that how you sort of see this?
Well,
or do you think Ricky's just going to go ahead and send and say, I don't care what the 5 does?
No, I don't think so. I think the jockeys do as much research as you and I do, and I think that he's going to see that horse just folded. So, maybe he'll sit a half length back. Like I said, I think he'll be confident. He should be confident enough that he can just bury the 5. So it doesn't almost treat the 5 as if he's not in the race. At least that's what I would foresee him doing. I wouldn't want to see him go 22-1 like he did in the last race. But I guess if he does, I would rather have him do that and just put the 5 away and see if he can run away with it.
The only issue I will say is I'm guessing Mike Smith is going to be asking Kana to get a little bit closer early, and I think he's going to be breathing right down the neck personally of Palace Coup, and then we'll see who's better. But Palace Coup definitely has a chance. You have the 6, a horse that if you've been following California racing at all, this horse was sort of a popular horse because of the name, of course, of the San Antonio Spurs guard. Fans of the NBA, of course, like Manu Ginobili. Talk a little about the 6,
Well,
Ginobili.
and the only reason I put the 6 on is in any multis, I wouldn't use the 6 at all. You just asked me for 3 horses, so I gave you the 6. So I just want to clarify to
Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
But there is some really nice things about the horse. He has some nice back class. I mean, if you look at, let's see, what race would that be? He almost beat Nadal. Nobody knows what Nadal would have been, but that horse could have been really good.
Yep.
He almost beat that horse on dirt. He's got some really nice figures at the track, I believe. And then his sprint numbers are pretty good. Unfortunately, the only good running I see he's ever done is on the lead. So,
yeah, I don't have this horse. And actually, I think I am as a C
sure,
in
yeah,
my
that I
pick
would,
5.
yeah,
This is a very strange horse because he appears, CJ, to be what we call a morning glory because his workouts in the mornings. I mean, you look at the workout
good.
times, you see bullets all over
Yeah.
the place. You see really fast works, but for some reason, he just really hasn't been able to translate that to the track in the afternoon. If he could ever run back to his works
Yeah.
consistently, he'd be a factor. I think this is a very tough spot personally for Ginobili. I want to talk about a horse that I have, Howbeit, the number 1. We're going to watch a replay of Howbeit and Little Bit Metal. So the 1 and the 3 come out of the same race. I really like the race that the 1 ran on May 15th. I'm just going to show it very quickly. Actually, Whiskey My God was also in that race, by the way, CJ. So if you've not
Yep.
seen this replay, this might interest you.
Yep.
Because Whiskey My God was our before mentioned
Yeah.
major speed horse in this race.
I have a note that I want to beat this entire race. So
Okay.
we'll go heads up on this one.
Absolutely. So watch the 3, 4, and 6, but I want you, especially everyone, to watch the 4 because I think the 4 ran a much better race than the 3. I'm going to go ahead and get to the point here. Whiskey My God is the 6, and you see the 1. Let me just back up a little bit here. The 4 horse is the 1, Howbeit, and the Little Bit Metal is the 3. So what you're going to see here is the 4 horse on the outside was used a lot harder, was wider, and used earlier. So when you watch this replay, even though the 3 and 4 were relatively close to each other at the wire, I really think the 4 ran a good race. You see they went 21 and 2. That's blazing. And the 4, Howbeit, is 3 wide. And if you look carefully at the jock is already asking with his hands. He's asking his horse to get closer and is 3 wide. Meanwhile, the 3 is just sitting back on the inside just waiting. And Howbeit, I thought ran a big race. He's still about in the 4-5 path here as they go 44 and 2 to the half. He is on the wrong lead. I don't like that. But this horse just keeps on coming. He never gives up. He didn't lose by that much. You see the 3 horse are sort of, to me, this is more of a clunk up. I think the 4 ran a much, there's the wire. I think the 4 ran a much, much better race than the 3 in this race because he was asking earlier. He was up closer to a fast pace. He was 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide. I think the 1 ran a very big race last time. I still think Kana is the best horse, but I'm very interested if the pace heats up. You got Abel Cedillo from the rail. I think you're going to get all of that 4-1. I'm interested in Howbeit in second. And I also have Palace Coup in third. I wanted to show that replay because I think some people are going to bet a little bit of metal, and I do not like this horse at all, even though on paper it looked like he ran well in his last. Any thoughts, CJ?
What I was going to ask, what do you think of Wipe the Slate, the 9?
So Wipe the Slate is very interesting. I have this horse as a C.
Okay.
And the only reason I have this horse anywhere in my pick 5 is I respect the connections, and I like Doug O'Neill. Gutierrez always goes on O'Neill's best horses. This horse is coming out of grade 3s.
Yeah.
The problem is he looks awfully slow, but CJ, similar to Ginobili, look at the workouts. This horse, since he's turned 3 years old,
58 and 4.
I mean, these are blazing workouts. However, again, this horse doesn't seem to run to his workouts, CJ. And not only that, this horse doesn't really look like he can pass a parked car.
No.
So I don't know how he's going to beat older horses from the outside and blow by all of them. But he has been working well, CJ.
Yeah.
I'm throwing him in there as a C
Sure.
just in case there's an
Yeah.
extreme backup. Would you use him at all?
No, I wouldn't. I actually hope that people see grade 3, and put a lot of money on him. Because I see he's to me he's the class of the field, and I'll say he's been running against better horses than basically everybody in this race. But man, if you watch his replays, he's terrible.
Yeah.
Like the last race he was in was awful. He didn't run at all.
No. And he's taking money too in some of these races, 8-1. It's not like he's a huge long shot. By the way, let's mention some of the names he's lost to, CJ. Have we heard of Life is Good, Medina Spirit, Weyburn, and the Chosen Vron? Those are all very talented 3-year-olds, but he is losing by 20, 24, and 13.
Yeah.
So
and that's what you have to look at. I saw the class and thought, he's definitely the class of the field. But boy, I watched that last replay and it's just like, oh man.
Yeah, he's gonna have to completely reverse form. But I wouldn't say it wouldn't completely shock me if somehow he can run to his works.
Like you said, with the connections, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah. And by the way, I think that horse is going to be bigger than 6-1. Let's get into race 9 now. The next 2 races are Calbred stake races, and these are nice fields. Some very interesting horses are running. The third leg of this sequence is a 1.125 turf race. It's the Snow Chief. They're going for $150,000. This is for restricted California bred 3-year-olds. A lot of them have not gone this distance. As I go ahead and take our race 8 picks off the screen and put our race 9 picks on the screen. And I'm sorry, hold on. Yeah, that's right. CJ, for the 3rd race in a row, sir, we have the same horse on top. And 2nd, by the way, and 3rd. We have the exact same 3 picks, ladies and gentlemen. So CJ and I are either going to be really, really right or really, really wrong here in this race. CJ, why don't you talk? I'll let you go ahead and start about the Snow Chief 1.125 on the turf.
So none above the law is a 2, I believe, correct?
9-5 in the morning line.
None above the law. So if you look at, he's got Flavian Pratt, who is unbelievable. Miller, he's got 2 wins in a row. He's one off of Lasix, which I noted, because I believe they're not running with Lasix in this race.
That's correct.
He seems to be training pretty well out of his last race, and I did really like his last replay. Nobody made up any ground except for that horse in that last replay.
Let's take a look at it. I wasn't planning on showing it, but well, first of all, let's look at again, if you are a fan of DRF Formulator, there's so many great things on here, and I don't even have to watch the replay to see if CJ is telling the truth. I'm not suggesting, by the way, CJ, that you're lying. But if you look at the elapsed, that's not what I want to look at. The incremental pace right here is one thing to look at. None above the law came home in 25.54. That is the fastest come home time of anyone in this race, actually almost by a half a second, which is a lot. And if you look at the chart, you'll notice Seattle Bold, who finished 2nd, was on the lead. The horse that finished 3rd was in 3rd or 4th the whole time, and Chief Jackson was in 2nd. So your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place finishers were pretty much up close the whole time. Meanwhile, None Above the Law was in 7th and 6th. So we don't even have to watch the replay, but we're going to, because CJ is exactly right. We'll take it in the middle part of the race, CJ. And if you want, you can talk about None Above the Law, who is the 8th horse in this race.
I believe
he's the gray, correct, on the inside.
Yeah, he's the gray on the rail.
Right there.
Yep, right there.
I'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit. You can talk about what you see.
And then he starts to move like right here, and nobody else does. So if you look at how the horses are right now, it's basically how they finish. That horse he doesn't. I don't know if I wouldn't say he blows by him, but he wins quite easily.
Gets a nice trip here. He's in the 2 path as he swing out. Yes, he does.
Yep, he swings out wide and then just goes right on by.
And, because they're going 1.125 miles, CJ, I sort of like the visual. I like to see how this horse looks.
Yeah.
And now if we're going to see the gallop out too, It looks like he's got pretty long gliding strides, so I don't think distance is going to be an issue. Let's see if we can watch the gallop out because I do think gallop out. Well, he probably wrapped up, so we're probably
Yeah.
not going to see much here on the gallop
Yeah.
out. Let's just see. Yeah, I mean he's wrapped up. You can't really tell much there. But what I noticed by watching this replay, and for all discretion, that's the first time I've seen that replay. It looks like CJ. This horse has a very nice long stride. I don't think distance could be an issue. Would
Yeah,
you agree with that?
I hope not. He wasn't great in his. He has 2 races at a mile and a 16th, and he wasn't awesome, but they were against quite a bit better horses, and I think they were both on the dirt.
This
But
horse
no,
is out of Caraconte, a very good turf miler out of a northern of Fleet Dam. Let's take a look at this. Look at the breed. Here's the mom. Here's the dam here was legally Blanca, purely a turf horse, won over 170,000. So this horse is absolutely bred for turf. Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, no, that's all I have to say about the 2.
Yeah,
He's my favorite horse in the race for sure.
I think this is. I don't like to single in a pick 5.
Yeah,
a horse that is trying to do something he's never done before, which is going a mile and 1/8. But not only is this horse won on turf, that was open company, CJ, and this is Calbred, right?
Yeah.
He ran well last year in the Del Mar Turf Juvenile as a 2-year-old against Big Fish, and it sure looks like there's enough speed here to set it up. He looks like he's going to get the distance. It's Peter Miller. It's Flavian Pratt. My guess, CJ, I don't think we're getting 9-5. I think this horse can be more like 6-5 or 7.
Yeah, I think it'll be even money, maybe 4-5. Yeah,
now we both have the 3 and 4 in second and third. Do you want to talk about either one of these horses?
I think the big note that I want to talk about on Big Talker, I believe his replay, he had a terrible trip.
Yeah, we're going to watch that too, but go ahead and talk about him before we watch the replay.
In the last. Here's one thing that I really don't know if I love is adding blinkers. The horse did run really good. And I don't necessarily, to me at least, it didn't seem like he didn't want to go buy horses. It seemed like horses got in his way in the last race. Now, they could be trying to add a little bit more speed to the horse. That very well could be what they're looking to do there. But I don't know how I feel about the blinkers on this one. I think I think he ran a really, really good last race. And I just think he had a bunch of horses in his way.
Well, before we watch that replay, I just want to quickly go down the PPs. This is very important for everyone listening live or watching the replay. Found My Ball, the furthest he's gone is a mile. None Above the Law has not gone beyond a mile and a 16th, but you would think a mile and 1/8 is in his scope. Fariano has only run a mile. That was his last race against Found My Ball and Big Talker. We're going to watch the replay. CJ, Big Talker is the only horse in this race that has not only gone a mile and 1/8, but has won at a mile and 1/8. You see on February 14th. Now, was it a slower time? Yes. But distance is very important. So he can get the distance. You see the 5 has not gone beyond a mile and 16th. And the 6 has not gone further than a mile. The 7 has not gone further than a mile. The 8 has not gone further than a mile. And the 9 has gone a mile and 1/8, but ran very poorly. So it is worth mentioning that the 4 has not only gone the distance, but has won at that distance. Now let's watch the replay. I'm going to disagree with you on one thing, CJ, and I'll tell you why in a second here. Which I'm allowed to do, by the way, because I'm the host.
Absolutely.
Because I'm the host. No, I'm just kidding. But you can see there are 6 horses, 6 horses in this replay that are racing in this race on Saturday. I am not a huge fan of a lot of these horses, but which is one of the reasons why I think we both like None Above the Law. But the winner, Fariano, here is the 4, and Big Talker in this race was the 3. So you want to watch the 3 and 4. Now, we're going to go ahead pretty much to the backstretch. First of all, the rails were out this day. Let me stop the video. The rails were out this day, which means you want to be closer to the pace. It's harder to close when the rails are out on the turf courts of Santa Anita. The winner, Fariano, or I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is right off the pace there in the two path and went off at 25-1. Meanwhile, Big Talker, the 3, back here in the pink, is all the way in last. So just keep that in mind as we watch this race here. Again, Fariano clearly got the jump on Big Talker, the 3. And if you watch the stretch, which I think is really important, the 3 is up the rail a little bit in traffic. The 4 gets the jump on the 3. But watch Big Talker in the stretch. He gets certainly a good enough trip, but he had some trouble. Like, he wanted to angle out. Right here, he got right there. You see that he wanted to go through this hole. CJ, I'm assuming you saw the same thing. I really think the jock wanted to split right there where the arrow and where my where the cursor is, but he couldn't split between, so he had to go back to the inside. You see right there, but then his head is all cocked and turned and all weird. He wanted to get this horse to the outside. Let me show. Did you see the jock right there? Watch the jock. He looks to his right, over his right shoulder. Watch, right about right there. Did you see that? He just looked to his right to see if he was clear. He finally, right there, he finally gets to the outside. And once he gets to the outside, he does start moving. You see he's got a big stride, but now it's too late. So, he did make up a few lengths there. Here's Fariano, the winner. Here's Big Talker. Here's my point, CJ. I'm not sure the blinkers are on to get more speed in the horse. I have a feeling this horse is a little bit goofy, and he just wants to keep the horse more focused.
Sure.
It's a complete guess of mine, CJ.
Sure.
I think your point is well taken. I like when blinkers go on a dirt horse more than a turf horse, but my guess is Rispoli, who was on Big Talker last time, CJ, for the first time, came back and told the trainer, Tim Yakteen, this horse likes to look around. It's a little bit goofy. So I think it's a focus thing. How do you feel about my comments or that replay?
No, I mean, so I guess I looked at that as trouble, but when you slow it down and you kind of look at it as like the horse was being kind of goofy. Now, I do think horses did get in his way, but looking at it like a second or third or fourth time, it did seem like he had the opportunity to go through, or he had the opportunity to duck to the rail and well, not to the rail, but towards the rail and get up and run a little bit better. But no, that horse definitely wanted to get outside.
I think what you're going to see now. Listen, Fariano's going to get the trip again. Excuse me, he's get the jump on the 2 and the 4 in this race. Yep. The problem with the 4 is it seems to me like none above the law is just a better horse, a better closer.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time believing that the 4 is going to outclose the 2, but maybe the blinkers will bring the 4 a little bit closer to the pace and be up close. It'll be interesting. We don't have anyone else in this race. Again, I don't like a lot of horses coming out of that May 14th race other than Fariano and Big Talker. So I'm not going to talk about the other ones. But there is outside speed. Ingest has a lot of speed. Jimmy Blue Jeans has speed. Play Chicken has some speed. So I do think there is going to be enough speed to set up these closers. But you never know, of course, going on turf. We both have the same thing, 2-4-3 in the Snow Chief, the third leg. Let's go on to the fourth leg of the sequence. This is the Mile 16th. It's on dirt for fillies, restricted Calbreds, going a mile in the 16th. I'm going to go ahead and switch our picks. So far, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we have the same horse, and we did not talk. CJ, back me up here. We did not talk about these races at all, correct? Nope. Before you were on the show. We got a few quick comments here from Trish. Says the honor of him winning that race was his name. Right. His name was winning that race. David, did Rispoli run it well? I guess you're asking if Rispoli had a good ride, I think is what he is suggesting. Let me just go back. Was that the horse? That was on Big Talker, right?
Big Talker, yeah.
You know what, David? First of all, Rispoli knows more about horse racing and about being a jockey than I do, number one. So it's easy to, I don't, how do I want to put this? I have a hard time criticizing jockeys too
Yeah,
much. I think
I
they do a
agree.
very difficult job. It's really easy to second guess.
Yeah,
David, I really think Rispoli, if you watch that replay again really carefully, he definitely wanted to get to the outside and split. And the hole closed. Listen, they're going 35, 40 miles per hour. You know, they're live breathing animals. I don't really blame Rispoli at all. But like I said, David, I think what you're going to see on Saturday is this horse probably save ground and then tip out and do everything he can to be in the outside in the stretch because I think that's what this horse wants to do. I don't really blame Rispoli, David.
yeah.
Just
I
my
mean,
opinion.
if I could just add to that, I mean, Raspoli's got
Please.
two options. Number one, it's he does what he does, or he really gets the horse outside and he's in the 12 path. And then, I mean, you're not winning from the 12 path. That's for sure.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
I
so
will, and also this is something that not enough people talk about, in my opinion. And this comes in. I'm a math teacher as well, so this comes into simple geometry. When the rails are out, let's think about this, everyone. Right? When the rails are out, there's less room on the turf course. Right? Less room. So, like CJ is saying, if you're going to go wide, you're really going to be wide.
yeah,
Now, the
super.
good thing about that is you are more likely to get in trouble if you stay on the inside when the rails are out for the simple fact there's less room, right? There's less room on the turf course. So if you stay to the inside, it's more of a risk. That's why I don't like jockeys staying on the inside when the rails are out. However, it plays more to speed. David, I don't blame Rispoli in this situation,
No,
to be honest, at
no.
all. Tom Espinoza, Tom from California, thanks for enjoying the show. Appreciate it. Tom, this is right down the street from you at Santa Anita, so hopefully you're going to play the pick five along with CJ, myself, and other people watching the show. Let's get into leg four, CJ. This is, like I said, fillies, 3-year-old restricted, Calbreds, mile and 16 going on the dirt. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this race first, if you don't mind,
Yeah, please do.
CJ. Let me get our picks up on the screen. As you folks know, I wear many hats here. Hold on one second. Let's see, race 10. CJ, we're different. Slightly.
Yeah,
Very slightly on top. I'm going to make a comment here. I have a pretty strong opinion in this race. And my opinions are, before I show the PPs, I really like the 3 a lot in this race. That's opinion number 1. Number 2, I have a strange feeling that something very bizarre could happen in this race because I don't trust anyone in this race. I know what you're thinking. Howard, you just said you love the 3. I do,
yeah,
as my top choice. But I do not trust a lot of horses in this race. There's a lot of speed in this race. I would not be shocked if something goofy happens. That's all I'm just going to say. I just want to lay that out here right now because the best horses, other than the 3, are speed horses, and there is no guarantee they're going to get this mile and 16th at all. So let me talk about my top choice in this race, which is the 3. Fifi Pharaoh, or Fi Pharaoh. This is a horse trained by Walter Solis, who's an underrated trainer. He trains a lot of Calbred horses. This is one of the few horses in this race, or might be the only one, that just broke his maiden. Right, he just broke his maiden. Look at the breeding, first of all. American Pharaoh out of a Ghost Zepper mare? Hello. That is some serious Calbred breeding, number 1. Number 2, her first race last time was the first time she went 2 turns. And CJ, I don't know if this is an angle that you talk about with your friend. Shout out to your friend again. What's his name?
Tucker.
Tucker, if you're listening. I don't know if you and Tucker talk about this when you handicap, but I give extra credit to a horse who can win first time going erotic ground. That is not an easy thing to do. This horse got a 76 buyer, first time going 2 turns, is bred to the 9s to go 2 turns, has been working well since, and watch this replay, because I think this replay, this line does not nearly, to me, show the whole story. Watch the 4. Again, I've been very good with replays and spotting horses. I'm wrong all the time like everyone else, but I do think there are things to watch. Now watch the 4, okay? The 4, first of all, does not have to have the lead. That's number 1. This 4, first time 2 turns, he's right there in the red. She's right there in the red. Rates very kindly off of the 2 speed horses, okay? But again, that's not the story. This horse looks like she's got a pretty nice big, look how she reaches out. To me, she's got a nice, comfortable stride. Watch what happens in the middle of the race here. Right here, the 2 angles out, and it's hard to see, but the 4 is now 4. Let me show this again. The 4 actually loses more ground than you think. Watch the 2, the 4, and then watch the 6 on the outside. The 2 angles out to get into the 2 path, pushes the 4 out right there, right there. Do you see that? And see the 6 had to steady? So that means the 4 is now in the 3 or 4 path. Just want to mention that. Now, the 4 is not bothered by that. This 2 shell shock goes on with it. But Fifi Pharaoh has so much horse. Watch what the jock does. You don't see this too often in a dirt race. This horse has, he's got so much horse, and he sees these horses to the inside. He just sent, look at this, right here, he sends through this narrow path in between horses, sends early, gets through the hole, and is now battling 3 across the track, right? You're probably going to think, wow, that's not a good thing for this horse. Now he's already using, early on the turn, first time going 2 turns, and you're probably thinking right here, in fact, the first time I watched the replay, CJ, I'm like, the 2 is winning this race, right? Like, how does the 4 win this race by 3 lengths? He asked the horse, she's on the inside now, chasing, and I love the battle. Watch now, the 2 puts the 4 in tight. Right there, look. Puts the horse in tight. Jocko's left-handed. Fifi Pharaoh is not distracted by that at all. In fact, I think that urged the horse on. She just completely puts this horse away and draws off and wins, to me, very impressively. I think that is what I put in my notes, CJ, as BTL. BTL stands for better than looks. That to me is a much better than looks effort, getting a 76 buyer. To me, CJ, if Fifi Pharaoh is able to rate like she did last time, to me, she is the winner. I've got the 5 in second, and I'm going to let you talk also here in a second. I'm So Anna also ran very well in an off-the-turf event, stake race, ran a 75, 111 early time form. CJ, I'll let you take it over from here. I'm So Anna definitely has speed to win this race.
Yeah, I liked her because I thought, you got the horse kind of on the front end here. Let's see. I like Pratt, obviously. She's been training well. She's been training good enough since the last race. She's got her figures are steadily going up, which is something I really, really like to look for. She's been showing steady progress, like I said. And I just think with that one, you're going to get a horse on the front end. That would be my big one there. And I think she did put that group away last time. She just put them away, and that's a nice thing to see. She didn't let anybody hang around. She said this race is over with and put it away.
I have 2 concerns now. I'm So Anna in second, so yep. I'm not going against what CJ said, but this is what this show is about. It's mainly a handicapping show, and for everyone to learn and get opinions. 2 things I don't like about I'm So Anna. CJ, number 1, I'm not sure about this horse on dirt. I know he ran at Los Al and ran a 68, but that last race was an off the turf. It was scratched off the turf. So it was on the poly, number 1. Number 2, take a look at April 3rd. Who did I'm So Anna lose to? There she is. There's my girl. Fifi Pharaoh beat I'm So Anna, CJ, 2 starts back. So I just wanted to mention that as well. I think she can absolutely win. You have the 6,
yep.
Eddie's New Dream,
yep.
in second. And by the way, I do not have Eddie's New Dream anywhere in my top 3, and I'll explain why. But talk to everyone why you like Eddie's New Dream.
Okay, so he's keeping the jockey, and I like Gutierrez a lot. It's his second start at 3, so I would expect him to improve here. He improved off his 2-year-old numbers. Another horse that should be near the front end. I do like horses near the front end. in especially longer distance dirt races. I bet too many horses that I think can come off the pace, and the pace
Yep.
just doesn't. I guess I watch a lot of New York racing. When I say that, you know exactly what I mean. Where you're just like, this is so I really like horses off the front end. I watched his last replay, keeping in mind that he was coming off of like what, a 7-8 month layoff or whatever. He wasn't quite able to put the horse away, or I'm sorry, he wasn't able to catch a lone speed, which really doesn't bother me. He was a little bit flat. I would expect him to improve. I think his workouts have been very good since his last race, and I would just expect the horse to be better, and that's what I'm looking for with this one.
I will listen. I'm either going to be very right or very wrong about Eddie's New Dream. Now let me talk about why I don't like this horse. Okay, Pawnee has speed. Might not have the lead. It's Mike Smith. He's usually pretty aggressive. We'll see. But Pawnee wants to be up close. Mucho Woman looks like this horse pretty much has to be up close. I'm assuming this horse can show some speed. Fifi Pharaoh, and by the way, Trish Smith. Let me see. Show that comment. Trish, you're not just saying that because I said it, right? Thanks, Trish. I agree with you. We both like Fifi Pharaoh. But let me get back to... So Fifi Pharaoh is going to be off the pace. Smooth Like Butter is going to be way off the pace. I'm So Anna, you would think this horse has to send for Flavian, right?
Yeah.
Eddie's New Dream is definitely a speed
Close.
horse.
Yeah.
OMG, it's Jessica. What is this horse going to do? Piper's got to send, right?
Yeah.
She's got no choice. It sure looks to me there's going to be a lot of speed in this race. So Eddie's New Dream doesn't really look like a horse that can pass too much, number one. This horse looks quick, number one. Number two, look at the breeding. This horse is by Square Eddie, who can certainly get a horse to go 2 turns, out of a Tappet mare. Now, Tappet loves distance, right? But the dam, Walking on a Dream, ran 2 races. Both of them were sprint races. Look at the siblings of Walking on a Dam. Some of them are pretty good. Jamming Eddie, sprint, sprint, sprint all over the place. There you see Eddie's Dream. Ocean Dream, pretty cheap horse when going long, didn't do much there. Azure Dream, sprint, 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 sprint. I am concerned, CJ, that Eddie's New Dream is not going to get the distance. This horse has never been 2 turns, and not only is this a 2-turn race, it's a 1/16. So I guess Eddie's New Dream is what can outbreak the entire field and just wire the field. I don't know. There's a lot of speed in here. I'm very dubious personally of Eddie's New Dream. I don't like this horse at all. I'm going to use this horse very, very defensively. I like the one more Pawnee simply because I like the rail. This horse will save ground, and I like Mike Smith in a stake race. So I'm just against Eddie's New Dream. We'll see who's right in this race. But there's a lot of speed in this race. A lot of things can happen. The morning line, CJ, last thing. When we handicapped everyone, we did not see the morning line. Boy, I hope Fifi Pharaoh is going to be a higher morning line. I didn't think Fifi Pharaoh was going to be the favorite. When you saw the morning line, CJ, what was your first impression?
Well, a couple things. First, I want to say I love to handicap without the morning line because I feel like I'm able to not.
I do also.
I'm able to not form an opinion. And you said something that was very, very, very important at the very beginning of this race. This race is total chaos. If you can hit the all button, hit the all button. I mean, there is.
Okay. This is your biggest spread race of the pick 5? CJ?
Not really, because I'm the type of guy that I got my opinions and I'm going to go with them. I don't. I guess I didn't even know who was going to be the favorite. I thought maybe I'm So Anna would be the favorite.
I think she might be. I think it's between her and Fifi Pharaoh. Yeah. By the way, we have some new people coming on the show. I shouldn't say new people. I don't want to be disrespectful to our viewers and listeners, but just people that I haven't seen on the chat very much recently, or if at all. Mark Youngman. Mark, thank you very much for watching the show. He likes Big Talker. That was the horse putting on blinkers, CJ. I agree, Mark. I think if it's not None Above the Law, to me, the most likely other winner would certainly be Big Talker. I'm going to either go 1 or 2 deep in that race, mainly. I agree. Tom, who I mentioned, said Piper is pretty good on the lead. I gotta tell you, Tom, I don't think Piper's getting the lead in this race, though.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think Piper's getting the
I
lead in
don't
the
think
other
so.
race either. So I
No.
do agree, though, Tom. Piper has proved not only to be good on the
Yeah.
lead, but she can close too. She's really,
Yeah.
boy, she improved since I saw her
Yeah.
first put herself on a horse. Very impressive. Is there anything else you want to talk about this race, CJ,
No,
before we go to last?
this race is tough.
You
You
said
know,
Albon, yeah.
yeah,
Listen, I like I said at the top before we started handicapping this race. To me, I think it's Fifi Ferro or just about anyone else. I just
that's
something
fair.
about I'm So Anna and the 6 horse Eddie. I just don't like. There's just a
Yeah,
lot of speed in this race.
yeah,
I don't trust either one of them.
yeah,
I think that's why I like Fifi Ferro so
yeah,
much, even
yeah,
though she just broke her maiden. All
yeah.
right, so we've talked a lot about that race. We're coming up on 8:20 here on the Central Standard Time. Let's get into the last race, CJ. This is a very small field but a difficult field to end the pick five sequence. CJ, I find it refreshing that we have the last race of the sequence is not some cluster maiden claiming 12 horse field that you have to go 9 deep in or something. So I do like that part. The problem is, even though it's a 6 horse field, you could probably make a case for almost every single one of them. Let's go to the last race. It's the traditional last race of the spring meeting every year, CJ. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I
They run
didn't.
this race as the last race of the spring meeting for decades. It's the Grade 3 San Juan Capistrano. They're going the very long, unusual distance of 1.75 miles. You like long distance turf races,
I
CJ. Here
do.
you go.
I
And
do.
look where they start. If you look at the top of the screen there,
Top of the hill.
they have not been on. I don't know the last time they've been on the very top of the hill. They've run on sort of the bottom of the hill when they
Yeah.
go 1.25 miles and 1.5 miles. I do not know the last time they've actually used the entire hill. I have heard rumors, by the way, CJ, that they're going to start running the 6.5 down the hill again when they start running at the next meeting. I really hope they bring that kind of race back because I love that race down the hill. But they're starting all the way at the top of the stretch. Let me go ahead and get our picks up on here. Will we have the same, or
I'm
will we be
I'm
different?
very curious to see who you picked in this race.
Of the 5 races, CJ and I have the same
Wow.
horse on top. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I brought up the wrong one. My bad. But we do have the same horse on top. Sorry. I brought up the wrong banner, but we do still have the same horse on the top. The 2 Red Kings. So 4 of the 5 horses, CJ, or 4 of the 5 races, excuse me, CJ and I have the same horse on top. As the last race, I'm going to let you talk about first Red King, CJ.
Okay, so this race. So at the very first race, I said I like lone speed on the turf, and we got it here. I think Acclimate is loose.
Long gone.
Loose.
Shot.
Loose. But I kept wanting to pick that horse, and I cannot.
But CJ, hold on a second. I gotta interrupt you a second. You just said this horse is complete lone speed.
Oh.
You have this horse nowhere in your top 3.
He's
lone
so
speed.
Loose. He's so loose.
All right, so why don't let's talk about why you don't like the 4 first. Let's do that.
Let's see. Let me get my notes on the 4.
All right.
He has
you
not
see the
won.
PPs are on screen if you need some help there, CJ.
Yep, he hasn't won since 2019.
That is correct.
He's been on or near the lead in his last 6 races, and he has just not sealed the deal. And
True.
after a while, man, just not sealing the deal. I can't back. I hope he wins by 4. I really do. I mean, I love when horses make me eat my words like that. But he can't seal the deal. He can't do it.
By the way, CJ, did you see the second to last line of his PPs, June 23rd, 2019? Guess what kind of race it was? The Grade 3 mile and 3/4 San Juan Capistrano, and he did win.
Yeah.
Going, by the way, look at the fractions he ran that day. Crazy.
Oh yeah.
109 and 3.
Yeah.
Now this is 2 years ago though, so this is when he was 5. Now he's 7.
Yeah.
I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, the race comes and goes with this horse, and that's really the truth of it. To be quite frank, I just betting the way that I do, I won't play this race. I
sorry, can
like
you repeat what you said, CJ?
okay, just playing the way that I do, playing wins, exactas, and doubles. I won't play this race.
You will not
I
play this
don't.
race. Okay.
I don't really
Yeah.
like. I was more of like I don't like these horses. Here's who I end up on. Now I always get it's Red King, right? Because there's a horse named Red Knight, or is that in my head?
The horse in this race is called Red King.
Red King, right?
But
Okay,
there is a Red Knight that runs on the East Coast that is a
that's
nice
what I
turf
thought.
horse. And
Okay,
it's a New York
that's
bred. I think the horse named Red Knight, a nice a New York bred horse.
yep. Anyways, so that is race 2 back. He
Is this Acclimate or Red King we're talking about now?
This is Red King. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So Red King has race 2 back. He had a ton of trouble, and he really should have won that race.
We're gonna watch that race, by the way. But go
The
ahead.
race 2 back.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. He had a ton of trouble in the stretch.
Should we watch it now? Let's watch it now.
Yeah. That sounds great.
So 2 starts back, Red King was against Lure Him In, who's the one horse on Saturday, and Warden Jerry, who's the morning, actually the second choice favorite, I think. I hate to say I think. I'm sorry. Apologize, everyone. Acclimate's 9. Yeah, Warden Jerry's the second,
They're both
second choice, 5-2.
Yeah.
They ran against each other 2 starts back. Let's talk about the trouble that CJ is referring to. Lure Him In is the 1. Red King is the 2. Warden Jerry is the 3. We're going to go right to the stretch. Watch what happens. We're just going to get right to the point here. This is down the hill, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to the finish here. Yep, not that much. Sorry about that. Let's take it from here. Let me freeze it here. So Red King is on the inside.
Yep.
Lure Him In and Warren Jeremy coming on the outside. Sorry, so Lure Him In is in the 3 path, the 1, and Warren Jerry, who I think won this race, is behind Red King on the outside. I'll let you take it from here, as Red King again is on the inside, the 2. Go ahead, CJ.
Yep. So just watching when they get into the stretch, this horse just has all sorts of trouble. I don't quite remember.
So he takes him to the outside trying to find a hole.
Yep. He gets stuffed
and see right there.
here.
He's steadying.
Yep. He gets
still waiting.
Again.
Still waiting.
Yep.
Still steadying.
Yep.
I didn't do that, by the way. Sorry. That was a glitch. Hold on. That was a glitch in the video. Sorry, that wasn't me. You can see right there. He's trying to get through.
He's got nowhere to go.
That's the video.
Yep.
Anyway, he finally got through, and then it was just too late. This is a Warren Jerry, a Lure Him In second, Red King third.
Yep.
Red King, ladies and gentlemen, is not a stop and start kind of horse. He's a big lumbering sort.
Yep.
Once you get Red King going, he's not going to be able to quickly burst through a hole.
So I got a couple other things that I like here.
Yep.
I like the jockey. He's got 5 wins and 11 in the monies on or at Santa Anita, which I think is huge. He's got a bullet drill coming in here. And I believe he's got a good race off of Lasix. So, I got a lot that I like about this horse. I think he'll run better than he did in that last race against Acclimate. So that's why I put him on the top.
I echo everything that CJ said. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is Red King has only run. He's run against Warren Jerry a few times. He beat Warren Jerry by 4 lengths in the race. By the way, he won the San Juan Capistrano last year. So you have the winner of the San Juan Capistrano 2 years ago, and last year, this is when Red King was getting really good, by the way. He won this race by 4 lengths last time, in this race last year, easily beating Warden Jerry. The next time he ran against any of these horses was 2 starts back. We both think that Red King was the best of those 3. And then last time he ran against Acclimate, and that was only 1.25 miles. He also had a little bit of trouble and only lost to Acclimate actually lost him by 2 lengths. So, but I think the distance is going to suit Red King better. The bottom line, CJ, is, if I can speak for both of us, is that we both think Red King is definitely better than Lure Him In and Warden Jerry. Would you agree?
Okay. There's one thing that I want to say. Yep. I will not leave Lure Him In off of a ticket. He just seems like a lumbering horse that is going to be near the lead. I could not get myself away from lure him in. I just couldn't. He's going to be the type of horse that if you back him, he's going to take last, and if you leave him off your ticket, he's going to beat you. That's just how I feel about this horse. I don't like anything about him, but I just like everything that I watch about this horse. Just seems like he just wants to kind of just putts. He just wants to putts and putts and putts and putts and just go and go and go and go. Yeah. His last line said he had no late kick, and to me, it was just like it's too short. Yeah. And he's not a late kick type of horse. I think he's going to sit off of acclimate. And,
okay. Yeah. He might get first run on everyone. By the way, the horse that beat lure him in, you have in third here, and that's Astronaut for John Sheriffs.
Yep. I thought his turn of foot was better. I guess I'm just lure him in is just that one horse that I'm scared of, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I thought Astronaut ran a better race last race. I thought he closed up really nice. I don't really like that he loses Pratt. But this is a race that I referenced about 3 races back or 4 races back. I think you'll have a better idea of how these horses are going to run after. I can't remember the horse that came out of that race. It was a Secret Club, maybe. Yeah. Ran out of this race, and I think that horse will move these 2 horses up or down. Right. But yeah, you asked me if Red King was better than Lure Him In and Warden Jerry, and I think so. Overall talent wise, I think so.
Yeah. Well, Astronaut's interesting. For those of you that want to play a longer horse, John Sheriffs, as we all know, he does not have a big stable, is a very patient trainer. I will say, 2 things about this horse I do like, even though, frankly, this would be an extreme backup for me because this horse just looks slow. But 2 things. Number 1, he's a very young horse compared to the others. He's only 4 years old, completely unexposed. Number 2, he's out of a German-bred mare, and German-breds in general love to go long distances. So this horse is interesting. I suppose he could jump up. I think it's a big ask to beat the others.
I agree.
The other one we didn't mention is Pilar Mountain, who used to be trained by Pletcher, is a new acquisition for Bob Hess, who, after he acquired this horse, puts this horse right into a long distance graded stake. And if you look back to 2019, this horse absolutely fits. So again, Pilar Mountain would be an extreme backup for me, but would it shock me if this horse jumps up and wins? No, not at all. No one in this race would surprise me. I am using every horse in this race on my ABC ticket.
I agree.
Best case scenario, I'm alive to everyone. Yeah. Of course, that probably won't happen. But in all reality, if I can get alive to Red King and Acclimate, in my opinion, that's who I like the most. Warden Jerry, I also like, but I think it's either 2, 3, or 4. I'd be relatively surprised if anyone other than 2, 3, or 4 wins this race. I like the 4 more than CJ does just because of the simple pace factor. But yes,
he's loose. He's loose.
This horse does seem to have trouble to close the deal, but I think he's been facing better horses too, just for what it's worth in general.
Yeah.
So let me show everyone my caveman ticket. Let me go ahead and switch screens here. I'm going to take this off the screen. Our PP is off the screen here. And let me show everyone this is my personal caveman ticket if you were to play one. And CJ, I'd love to hear your opinion on this ticket. And I see we'll get some more comments there. I would go very deep in the first leg. Now look, I'm assuming that most people will not do that. You could easily just go with the 11. Was it Strong Constitution? I think was the name of the horse.
Yeah, some Constitution.
Yeah. CJ and I believe in the Constitution, by the way.
That's right.
I can see you singling the 11. If you want to go real cheap, the 11 is the best horse on paper. But for me, CJ, I just have a feeling based on the replay I showed a while ago, there are some very interesting horses like Adair and other horses coming out of that race. So I personally would go deeper. But again, I don't usually bet caveman tickets. So I'm just putting this out there for people that like caveman tickets or don't have the capability of betting an ABC. I would go deeper in the first leg. Second leg, I've got 1, 4, 7. The 4 was that turn back horse that we talked about that CJ liked, Palace Coup, I believe, was the
Yep.
4, and I like the 1, and the 7 was Kana, and
Yep.
the 1 was I think How Bet It or How I'm sorry I forget the name. That was the replay horse that I liked, who was wide that day.
Yep.
I'd be very happy only going 2-4. 2 is none above the law, and 4 is Big Talker, I believe. CJ, if you can help me with that, I'd
Yep.
appreciate. I'm going off of. I'm
Yep.
getting
Nope.
old, so my
Yep. You're
memory is
perfect so
not always
far.
great. The fourth leg's the tricky one. I'd personally be fine with going Fifi Pharaoh and maybe I'm So Anna, but I
Yep.
got to be honest. On a shorter, skinny ticket, I could just single Fifi Pharaoh and just go for it. That's just me personally. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. And then I'd say 2, 3, 4 in the end. CJ, feel free to completely disagree or agree. What do you think about this caveman ticket? Where would you differ? Where would you be the same?
I really wouldn't be different in a lot of places. I guess you and I have made a couple comments of like, you know, go all here or go as many as you can here. I think this is the type of sequence. I mean, you've said it a couple times yourself that it could be, you could have a couple of races that are shocker races. But I think there's going to be a couple of races that you have to just push your opinion, like you're pushing Fifi Farrell. And I think, that's a horse you go with. For me,
if you had to push one horse, if you and Tucker were playing a smaller, I know you don't play pick fives, but let's say you were playing a $36, $48 pick five. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. CJ Andrews, who would you single in your pick five?
I would probably
gotta take a stand now. That's what horse racing is about.
Yeah, you're right. My stand would probably be Constitutional Affair, the 11 in the first race. That would be my stand. Again, just because you have to make one.
Sure.
We've talked like 6 different horses in the Fifi Farrow race. We've talked about 5 different horses in the last. And that's, where you got to make a stand in one and then go as deep as you can in the other and just hope for a price is how you got to play it, how I would play it.
I'll tell you what, if Fifi runs poorly or loses, I'm going to feel bad. Well, actually, I won't feel bad because I'm not alone. I know everyone. Please don't just take my opinions as blanket, winner's circle. They're just for sure things because, listen, it's a very tough game. I feel confident in my handicapping. I've had a lot of success, but I'm wrong all the time, just like everyone else is. There's going to be a lot of weight on Fifi Farrow on Saturday. Go ahead.
I'll say one thing about that. As soon as they lock in Fifi Farrell for a bet, it is no longer Howard's opinion. It is your opinion. And that is how you have to view horse racing. If Fifi Farrell does not win, you're not mad at Howard. You're mad at yourself because Howard did not force you to put that bet in. And that's really how I view it. I think those guys on TV have some of the hardest job in the world. That's all they do is catch flack. Oh, you don't pick any winners. You want to get on TV and pick winners at 3 to 5 or 1 to 5 or whatever, and then they lock in. Well, I lost $100 on your pick. Well, I didn't tell you to play my pick. You asked who I liked, so I told you who I liked.
I want to just echo that because it's very. Let me just put up Sorry, I want to put up the scroll at the bottom as we end the show here. CJ makes a good point, and I'm not saying this for selfish reasons, but let me just say a few things real quick based on what CJ just said. Any fans of baseball, right? If you're a 300 hitter, you're considered excellent. That means 7 out of 10 times you go to the plate, you're not getting hit, right? In horse racing, favorites win only about a third of the time, right? Any public handicappers that are close to 30% or higher are doing an excellent job. Fantastic. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn at all, so please don't say, Howard, you're so arrogant, whatever. My picks at Canterbury Park, which is not an easy track, I'm 33% right now. I feel pretty good about that.
That's incredible.
And not only that, people like Andy Serling and all these public handicappers out there that give these guys a hard time. Listen, anyone can give you folks like 6 to 5 shots out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to do it. Yeah. This game is all about value. Yeah, it's about ROI. Okay. Yes, we want to give you winners. You have to have winners. But there's no reason to continually give you short-priced horses because that is not how you win in the long run. So this is a very difficult game. I've been completely wrong on 20 to 1 shots I like on top. I've been completely wrong about 4 to 5 shots. I've divorced papers out on many horses, but then I had Mishriff at 19 to 1. I had obligatory at 16 to 1. I had idle at 6 to 1, etc. So listen. Uh, I had a horse at 10-1 last night at Canterbury on the blog that you folks can look up. So it's a very tough game. I'm glad you mentioned that, CJ. Not to try to, pat me on the back, but
Mhm.
again, um, take everyone's pick for what it's worth. And as
Yeah.
CJ said, it is your opinion.
Mhm.
It's your dollar that you're spending
Mhm.
ultimately when you make these decisions. CJ and I, listen, of the 5 races, 4 of them we had the same horse on top, but we had completely different opinions on horses underneath.
Yeah.
So these are decisions that you have to make. CJ Andrews, before I take you off the screen and wrap up the show, any other shout outs you want to say to anyone or any other comments you'd like to make?
No, I appreciate you having me on. It's been a lot of fun. Good luck, everybody, if you play the sequence. There should be some ways to make money. There should be some ways to make money in this sequence for sure.
CJ, I thought you did a great job. I appreciate having you on the show. By the way, I want to mention, and I sent this an email out to certain viewers. If anyone, and I do mean anyone, we have several hundred people, up to 1,000 plus people, watch these videos over the next few days. Anyone listening, if you'd like to have a chance to be in CJ's position and be a guest handicapper on the show, please email me, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Just simply say, live stream yes, or I'd like to be a guest on the show. And I have your email, and I have a list of people that can come on when we do not have, more famous guests and well-known handicappers on the show. CJ, stick around. I'm going to take you off the screen, but please stick around so I can talk to you just for a second. CJ Andrews, great job. Thank you very much, CJ, and good luck on Saturday. Take care, CJ. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard.
All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, that was CJ Andrews. What a great job from North Dakota. We got people from all over the country on the show who are interested in horse racing. Please make sure, once again, as we wrap up the show, very briefly, you go ahead and subscribe to that race day blog. Again, you might want to wait until the end of the month because that's when the payment recycles itself. But please support me and the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. I want to grow this channel as much as possible. I want to get up to 1,000 subscribers. That's my main goal. Right now, we're almost at 300. And then again, Canterbury Park analysis Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And then next Monday night, again, very important. Monday night, there's going to be no recap show for Santa Anita, but next Monday night, I have Jeff Madej coming on from Canterbury Park. We're going to go a detailed analysis of the great night of stake races next Wednesday night at Canterbury Park for their Northern Festival Lights Turf Festival. It's me, Gray. I'm actually going to Shakopee, Minnesota. CJ, if you can still hear me, I'm not going to be too far from you. I'm going to Shakopee, Minnesota for the first time to Canterbury Park in person. I'll be there for the races on Wednesday night. But listen, please join me Monday night for a fantastic show. And again, down below the video player, I'd love to hear any comments you have about this live stream in the HHH Racing podcast. This has been episode 49 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I've been your host, Howard Kravitz. An homage to Peter Thomas Fornatel. I will say on Saturday in the Pick 5, let you win all your photos. Good night, everyone. Take care.